Well, welcome back, Lee. It's nice to see you again. I appreciate you coming back in to meet with me. I know that in our prior sessions, we kind of talked a little bit about some of the things that you've been wanting to change and just some of the struggles that have kind of been preventing you from making those changes. So I just, before we get into conversation, I kind of wanted to get an idea of what it is that you believe that I do as a clinician, what we do here at the clinic, and then after that kind of move into what your expectations are with services. So just if you could start by just kind of explaining what you feel it is that I do in this role.
Well, from what I gather and understand, your role is to, help me make things in my life better, through therapy and talking and resources. And that's about as much of the understanding as I have. I think that's why I'm here.
Okay, so you feel like there's some things in your life that could be made better, and you feel like coming here and meeting with me in some way can help you get to a place where you're feeling better and feeling like you're on a better path.
Well, yeah, I just don't feel like I've been able to accomplish any of the things that I've wanted to on my own.
Okay. So then I also wanted to kind of start the conversation around what some of your expectations are throughout services. I know that we talked about last time, in the past couple sessions that we had, you had brought up that you've kind of fallen off in terms of being able to maintain a healthy diet and keep a consistent schedule in the gym, and some things like smoking and drinking have kind of been some past coping mechanisms that you've found yourself falling back into. So if you could just talk about what your expectations are in terms of the things that we talked about prior.
As far as coming to you, I'm here because you are the expert in your field, and I don't have the tools in my belt to successfully accomplish the things that I need to. So whether it's figuring out better coping mechanisms or being pointed in the right direction for resources, I just don't even know where to start.
Yeah, and that definitely makes sense. It's kind of like you have all these different things going on, and you're like, how do I address any of them when it feels like there's so many different things?
Let alone all of them.
Exactly, yeah. So I know that we talked about kind of the stress that's been going on because of your new job. So can you just share a little bit about how things have been going since we last spoke?
Yeah, so I work for a bank, and so for the first almost 2 years I was there, I was a banker, and I worked for myself, by myself. I helped clients, and I didn't have a ton of responsibility other than my own commission. And I recently took what was thankfully a promotion, but it includes managing a branch now. And so being the youngest manager in the district by 8 years, I cannot fail. There's no way I have to perform just as well as anybody else. And so that's been taking a toll production wise. And I also used to live 1.2 miles from where I worked, and now I am 61 miles one way from where I work. And so going from a 4-minute to a 60-minute commute has been an adjustment as well.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of stress, and there's so many transitions going on. You mentioned the fact that you're in an entire new role, and from what you're saying, it seems like you are really passionate about being a great manager and being able to just live up to the expectations that you feel have been placed on you going into a pretty much a leadership role at this new location. And I know that we talked last time about kind of where you're ranking yourself in terms of motivation to start making some changes. And when we talked before, you said you were about a 2 or a 3 on that 0 to 10 scale. So I'm wondering just today where you would rank yourself, 0 being not ready and 10 being, I'm ready to make these changes today.
Yeah, I mean, when I had said 2 or 3, it was because I didn't see any of it as a real problem. I'm still young, and I feel like I have a long horizon as far as when I can stop. But with it progressively getting worse, I don't think I can continue to keep it up. So I'm probably at like a 6 on the scale of
Okay.
wanting to stop.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's like a drastic improvement from the last time we talked in honestly such a short period of time. So I'm wondering, what are maybe some things that would have to happen in order to increase that motivation to get you maybe to like a 7, 8, 9 on that scale?
I think for me, a big part of my progress comes from achievement, the reason that I want to do well. And I feel like if I could just get my foot in the door of heading in the right direction, that it would be enough momentum and positive change to get me to continue in that direction.
Okay. And what are some of the things that you would say that are like preventing you from being able to, because it seems from the conversations we've had, it seems like there's a lot of things that are kind of pushing you to start, eating healthier and working out more and reducing the drinking and the smoking. So what are some of the things that are like preventing you from being able to make these changes?
Honestly, I have been doing pretty well before all this about managing stress and keeping a healthy work-life balance. And now that I'm salary, I bring a laptop home and I can work from home whenever I want. It's just a whole new level of stress. And so for me, when I can turn off being customer service all day, it's easy to come home and want to relax in not the best way. I will drink a couple beers a night sometimes, and I've gone back to smoking the Juul, or it's a nicotine vaporizer, and I even will continue to smoke weed too, which is not great.
So how are you feeling about being able to cut those coping mechanisms out? Like, is it something that you feel you can do, or are you feeling like
I am just not sure that I'm gonna be able to stop.
so you feel like smoking and drinking is something that you're going to be doing like for the rest of your life then?
I don't think for the rest of my life. My mom's dad, my grandpa, he has done that his whole life, smoked and drank, and he's not better for it. And I don't want to be like him. So I don't hope and I don't think it's going to be for my entire life. I just don't know if it's going to be anytime in the immediate future.
Yeah, so you mentioned your grandpa, and you've kind of seen the way that his life has kind of played out based on, maintaining these decisions that, which you have kind of been saying are harmful, making you kind of feel bad about yourself. And so I'm wondering what maybe some of these realistic goals that you have for yourself in making a change.
I think the biggest thing for me is cutting out the nicotine. That's always been one of the more harmful substances. The alcohol pushes me to use the nicotine, and I've always been more on the other side of the fence when it comes to marijuana, as far as more of a medicine than a drug. So that's something that is more optional in my eyes as far as what's okay to do. I feel like it has less harmful properties than alcohol and nicotine. So I feel like if I can put something in place to get rid of the alcohol, it'll stop me from buying the nicotine.
Okay. So you're kind of feeling like some of these habits or coping mechanisms kind of like play off of each other. So like you do one and it kind of makes you want the other one. Okay, I can see how that would definitely make things more challenging for sure. Who are some of the supportive people in your life that could help you along this process in making these changes?
Well, I've always had my mom my entire life. She's tried to steer me in the right direction. Dad's really no use in that field, but my brothers are always supportive as well. My younger brother's going through the fight for sobriety as we speak. And then my wife of almost 4 years has been a huge help in getting me off of the previously worse stuff. So it's just continually trying to take steps in the right direction, and those people have been a huge help.
That's awesome. To know that you have that many people that are supporting you and that would be able to help support you in making these changes is incredible. And then I know you also mentioned your brother. Is this your younger brother?
Younger.
Okay. And that he's kind of struggling with these same things. So that adds a whole nother thing, because, you know, being able to be that role model for a younger sibling is,
Yeah.
I'm sure, I don't know if that's something that's important to you.
It is, and I think that's why I hide it predominantly. You know, I don't typically drink around them or smoke anything around them. I try to always be in a sober mindset, but it's almost like leading a double life.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I wanted to ask your permission if I could just make some suggestions for you based on kind of my experience and what I've seen that's really helped with other clients. Is that okay if I?
Yeah,
I do
if you have extra resources, I feel like that would be a good place to start.
Yeah, so right now I think the thing I would really suggest, and I know that you already really mentioned this, so I'm really just amplifying what you have already mentioned, is just making sure that you really surround yourself with these people like your mom, your wife, that are going to be supportive for you during this process of making these changes. And in our following sessions, we can talk about other things, because all of these things that you've talked about, you know, wanting to eat healthier, work out more, reduce the smoking, reduce the drinking, they're all really big changes, and it's, you know, it's not an easy thing. And so the fact that you've even come in today and been so open with me and sharing some of these things that you want to change is honestly one of the biggest steps. But then just maintaining that support and surrounding yourself with the right people. So I think you're on a really good path to be able to make these changes.
I hope so.
Yeah, well, it was really good talking with you, and I look forward to our next session.
Me too.